Now, take another slow, gentle breath. Feel the air glide in through your nose, cool and clean, and drift out through your lips, warm and soft. Your chest rises, then falls, just as the water in the clepsydra rises and falls, marking each breath of the night. The alchemist has drifted into a dream now, but his dream feels less like a story and more like a sigh. A soft shimmer of moonlight folds around him. The edges of his chamber melt away into mist. The lantern's flame stretches into a star, and the gentle dripping of water becomes the distant sound of rain falling on silk. His body rests in the chair, but his spirit walks elsewhere. He finds himself standing in a twilight meadow. The air is silver blue, as if night and dawn are holding hands. Grass sways slowly beneath his feet, each blade tipped with dew that glows like tiny pearls. A faint path winds ahead, lined with white flowers that open only under the moon. He walks, and each step makes no sound. He feels the ground cool and steady beneath him, the breeze kissing his face like a whisper of time gone soft. In the distance, he sees a cottage, small, humble, with its windows lit by candlelight, and there, in the open doorway, sits the seamstress. Her hands move gently, drawing a silver thread through a piece of midnight blue fabric. The thread glimmers, not with light from the candles, but with something softer, something living. When she pulls it through, it hums, a note so faint and pure that even the stars seem to pause and listen. He steps closer, and the seamstress looks up. Her eyes reflect the lantern light of his world, warm amber mingled with silver calm. She smiles, not startled at all, as though she's been expecting him for a very long time. "Ah," she says softly, "you finally followed the rhythm." The alchemist blinks, feeling the gentlest smile touch his lips. "The rhythm?" he asks, though his voice sounds far away, like a thought spoken underwater. She nods, still sewing. "The rhythm of patience, the one you've been listening for all your life." Her voice is as smooth as thread passing through cloth, slow, even, soothing. Each word lands like a soft stitch in the quiet. He watches her hands. The silver thread catches the candlelight and bends it, turning it into tiny rivers of light that flow along the fabric. He realizes what she's sewing. Stars. Each stitch, a star. Each pull of thread, a path between them. She is mending the night sky itself, closing small tears where dreams have slipped through. He steps closer. The sound of her needle is delicate. A faint tick, tick, shh, like raindrops brushing against glass. He asks her, almost whispering, "Do you sew the heavens every night?" "Only when they need it," she replies, eyes twinkling. "Sometimes time forgets to hold itself together. That's when the dreams leak out." The alchemist chuckles softly. "Then we have the same work, you and I. You mend time, and I measure it." The seamstress looks up, her expression tender and amused. "Measure. Mend. What's the difference, really? Both require a steady hand and a quiet heart." Her words drift into him like a lullaby. He feels lighter, smaller, as if every worry he ever held has been folded away, stitched into some far corner of the universe. The meadow hums faintly with their calm. The breeze smells of lavender and rain. Fireflies drift through the air, slow, glowing specks moving to an unseen rhythm. The alchemist realizes that even the stars above seem to pulse in time with the drops of his clepsydra, as if the rhythm he listens to has always belonged to the world itself. The seamstress gestures to a stool beside her. "Sit," she whispers. "Would you help me tie the last knot?" He sits. Her silver thread gleams in his hands, smooth, cool, alive. As he ties the knot, he feels a soft pulse run through the thread, like a heartbeat beneath his fingers. The seamstress nods approvingly. "You see?" she says. "You've found it. Gold fades, stones crumble, but rhythm endures. Even when the body sleeps, the rhythm stays awake. The alchemist looks up. Above them, the repaired sky glows deeper, stars burning brighter, constellations shifting into gentle harmony. It feels like the heavens themselves are breathing, and in that breath he hears it again. Drip, drip, drip. The echo of his clepsydra calling him home. The seamstress folds her fabric carefully, laying it across her lap. She looks to him and smiles once more. "Go back," she says softly. "Keep the rhythm, and when your water runs out, come find me again. There will always be another night to mend." He bows his head, not in sadness but in gratitude, for the lesson, for the calm, for the quiet miracle of time measured by peace instead of purpose. As he stands, the cottage fades. The meadow turns to mist, and the stars blur into silver light that spills around him like water. He hears the faint chiming of her thread, one last lullaby, faint as breathing. Then everything melts away. Back in the stone chamber, the alchemist stirs in his chair. The lantern still burns, its light now dim and golden. The clepsydra drips faithfully beside him, slow, steady, patient. He blinks once, twice, and then exhales, a smile forming at the corners of his mouth. He feels rested, as though he's slept for years. He reaches for his quill again, but this time he doesn't write about metals or formulas. He writes one simple line. When the thread and the drop keep time together, the heart knows peace. He sets the quill down. The sound of the clock continues. The silver dust still glimmers faintly in the lantern's glow, and through the window dawn begins to stir, the first pale light of morning stretching across the hills. The alchemist closes his eyes once more, not to dream, but to listen. The clepsydra whispers its lullaby. The air sighs softly in reply, and for a moment the whole world seems to rest on the same gentle rhythm. A rhythm that rocks the listener and you into deep, weightless sleep. The chamber is filled with the hush that follows revelation, that sacred, lingering quiet that arrives only after truth has gently touched the soul and retreated again into stillness. Outside, dawn stretches its pale fingers over the horizon, brushing the stones of the tower in light so soft it feels like a sigh. The world, it seems, is waking. But it is waking slowly, respectfully, as though not wishing to disturb the dream that has wrapped itself around the old alchemist's heart. The water clock still speaks in its steady language. Drip, drip, drip. Every drop a syllable in the poetry of time. The sound seems deeper now, fuller, as if it carries the echo of that silver thread he dreamed of. He listens, not with his ears, but with something quieter, something older, something that lives beneath thought itself. And in that listening he hears both water and thread, drip and hum merging into one long, eternal note of peace. He rises slowly from his chair, the folds of his robe whispering against the floor, the faint scent of rosemary stirring in the air as his movement wakes the herbs from their own gentle sleep. His body feels light, not as though he has slept, but as though he has been remade. The fatigue that used to haunt his shoulders, the ache that once hid behind his thoughts, seems to have dissolved into the silver dust that glows faintly across his table. He walks to the window and looks out over the fields. Mist curls like silk ribbons through the valley. The trees shimmer in that early light, their leaves trembling as the first birds stretch their wings. Everything feels alive but unhurried. Every motion delicate, deliberate, like the hands of the seamstress pulling her thread through the night sky. The world itself seems to remember her touch. The alchemist presses a hand against the cool stone of the window frame, and he thinks, not in words, but in impressions, about all the years he has spent chasing transformation. He remembers the furnaces roaring, the crucibles cracking, the endless nights of calculations and failures, the metallic tang of heated air that clung to his lungs. And he realizes that all that striving, all that desperate reaching for gold, was only an echo of something simpler. the longing to understand the rhythm that connects all things. Not to own it, not to control it, but to feel it, to live inside it. He whispers to the morning, "I thought I sought the secret of creation, but perhaps all I ever sought was the sound of calm." His voice fades, carried away by the soft wind that moves through the tower. It passes through shelves of glass vials, setting them humming faintly, as though the air itself wishes to answer him. A shimmer dances across the surfaces, light glancing off curved glass, and for a brief moment he sees patterns forming there, circles, threads, constellations. It looks almost like the seamstress's embroidery, stitched in reflections of sunlight and shadow. He smiles, a slow, knowing smile, and the smile itself seems to warm the room. He walks back to the table where the clepsydra stands. He places both hands on either side of the glass vessel and feels the faint vibration of its dripping rhythm. He leans close, eyes half closed, and whispers a quiet blessing. "For every drop that falls, may another soul find stillness. For every heartbeat that listens, may peace flow as gently as this." Then he does something he has never done before. He stops the clock. He reaches for the small brass stopper and gently presses it into place, halting the flow of water. The last drop hangs suspended, perfect, round, gleaming with a reflection of dawn and firelight and his own calm face. It trembles there for a long, timeless moment. And in that silence he feels as if the universe itself is holding its breath with him. When at last he exhales, the drop does not fall. It stays, balanced between gravity and grace, between what is and what waits. He steps back, wonder stirring behind his ribs like the wings of a waking bird. Perhaps, he thinks, this is the truest alchemy of all. Not to command nature, but to pause it, to hold a moment still long enough to hear it breathe. As the hours pass, villagers below the tower begin to stir. They light their fires, open their shutters, lead their donkeys along the cobbled streets, but even they notice that something feels different today. The air lighter, the bells gentler, the morning quieter somehow. Rumors begin to ripple softly from mouth to mouth, like the spreading of warmth through cool air. Some say the alchemist has captured time in a single drop of water. Some whisper that he found the silver thread that binds the sun to the moon, and others, older, wiser, simply say, peace has settled on his tower. As the legend grows, travelers come to see the place where time paused. They climb the winding hill, carrying offerings, a loaf of bread, a sprig of lavender, a small vial of spring water. When they reach the tower, they find not a grand hall of gold and marble, but a simple stone chamber filled with light. They find the clepsydra still, its final drop glimmering like a pearl held in midair. And they find the alchemist sitting quietly beside it, smiling, listening to something they cannot hear, the soft music of patience. He greets each visitor kindly, his words few but heavy with calm. He no longer teaches formulas or writes notes in ledgers. Instead, he tells them stories. Stories of silver threads and dream-sown skies, of a seamstress who stitched the stars back together so dreams could find their way home. And when he speaks, even the restless feel their hearts slow. Even the anxious find their breathing deepen. It is said that the sound of his voice alone could calm storms, though he would only smile and say, "No storm can last long when it remembers its own rhythm." As night returns, the alchemist lights his lantern once more. He looks at the water clock, still frozen, still beautiful, and feels no need to start it again. He knows that time continues, whether marked or not. He knows that peace is not found in measuring the hours, but in living them gently. He sits at his table, lifts a fresh sheet of parchment, and writes one last thing before the candle burns down to its base. The secret of all craft, alchemy, music, sewing, dreaming, is this: the world is already perfect when we listen to its quietest sound. He places his pen aside, leans back, and lets the night carry him into stillness. Outside, the wind hushes through the trees. The stars shimmer in their mended patterns, and somewhere, far beyond the edge of dawn, a seamstress hums as she threads another needle, silver glinting softly in her hands, her song weaving through the fabric of dreams, so that all who listen may rest, and all who rest may dream in rhythm. There are stories that fade when their tellers sleep, stories that unravel like thread left too close to flame, stories that belong to a single moment and no further. But this story, the one of the alchemist and the seamstress, does not fade. It does not unravel. It hums softly, endlessly, like a song hidden beneath the breath of the world. Years drift like petals in the current of memory, and the tower on the hill becomes a quiet landmark for travelers who seek rest more than riches. The stones grow gentler with moss, and ivy climbs their sides like green lace, yet within those walls the same sense of stillness endures, the same hush that once gathered around a water clock and a dreaming heart. People speak of it as a place where time slows, not in fear, not in loss, but in reverence. When merchants journey past, they lower their voices. When shepherds graze their flocks near the base, they listen to the wind as though it carries counsel. Sometimes, on the calmest nights, they swear they hear the faint chiming of a thread being drawn through cloth, a silver tone that rises and falls in time with the heartbeat of the hills. Children born in the valley grow up hearing the tale from parents and grandparents whose eyes soften when they tell it. They say that long ago there was a man who tried to turn lead into gold, and instead turned haste into patience. They say that he met a woman who could sew the sky, and that together they taught the world to rest again. And though no one can quite agree on how much of it is truth, and how much is dream, no one really minds, because the story itself feels like a lullaby, and that is enough. Bards and travelers carry the legend outward, letting it scatter like seeds. In distant cities they speak of the alchemist's silence, a state of grace sought by those who live too fast. In cloisters and monasteries, monks copy his final words onto pages bordered with small silver stars. In marketplaces, storytellers draw small crowds by candlelight, whispering of the drop of water that never fell and the rhythm that stitched the night together. Every retelling changes something, yet every version carries the same slow pulse, as though the tale itself insists on breathing calmly. Centuries fold over the land like blankets laid down by unseen hands. Empires rise and dim, roads shift, rivers carve new paths, but the hill remains, and so does the tower. It stands half-ruined now, yet dignified, its highest stones warmed by sunlight in the day and kissed by moonlight at night. Birds make nests in the empty windows, and wildflowers bloom in the cracks where mortar once held strong. When the wind moves through these flowers, their stalks sway and rustle with a rhythm that feels deliberate. Drip, hum, whisper, pause, as though the earth itself remembers the cadence of that ancient clepsydra. Sometimes a pilgrim arrives alone, seeking something unnamed. They climb the slope, their footsteps soft on grass heavy with dew, and when they step inside the tower, they find no relics, no treasure, only a shaft of light falling across the floor. Dust motes drift through that beam, glittering faintly, and if the pilgrim listens closely, they may imagine they hear the drip of unseen water or the faint brushing of thread. They sit down, breathe, and somehow, without words, without ritual, they leave lighter than they came. Scholars debate whether the story was real, whether an alchemist named Thalen ever lived, whether a seamstress could truly spin silver fine enough to hum like bells. But the villagers below the hill do not debate. They simply keep the story alive. On midsummer nights, when the air is warm and scented with thyme, they light small candles and set them along the stream. Each candle drifts downstream slowly, its flame trembling but unbroken, and as it moves it reflects in the water like a chain of liquid stars. They call this ritual the thread of light. The elders say that every candle is a moment of time made visible. each one a drop that, for a while, refuses to fall. In one cottage, on one quiet night of such celebration, a grandmother tells the story to her grandchild. The room is filled with the sound of crickets outside and the faint pop of wood in the hearth. The child listens wide-eyed, their head resting against the grandmother's arm, the fire painting soft gold along their cheeks. "Was it magic?" the child asks, voice barely above a whisper. The grandmother smiles, stroking the child's hair. "Of course it was," she says, "but not the kind you find in spells or potions. The magic was in the listening. He learned how to hear the quiet between the seconds." The child frowns slightly, trying to imagine what that means. The grandmother leans close, her voice dropping to a murmur that vibrates like a lullaby. "The quiet between the seconds," she says, "is where peace hides. It's very shy, but if you listen with your heart, very softly, it will come out to sit beside you." The child nods, their eyelids drooping, their breathing slowing to match the crackle of the fire. The story does what it has always done. It turns the restless into the resting. Outside the window, the candles on the stream drift farther away, their light mirrored in the rippling current until the whole waterway looks like the seamstress' silver thread, winding through the dark fabric of the world. Somewhere beyond the valley, beyond the hills, beyond the veil of night, perhaps she still sews, her hands gentle, her song unending, keeping the stars stitched tight so dreams do not slip through. And perhaps somewhere else the alchemist sits beside her once more, their work finished, their hearts untroubled, measuring not hours but moments of serenity. And as the story moves from voice to voice, year after year, it changes shape the way clouds change as they drift across a sky that she might have mended. To some, it becomes a parable of patience. To others, a reminder that time cannot truly be captured. To the weary, it becomes a whisper that says, "You are safe. You can rest now. The world will keep turning gently while you sleep." By the time the grandmother's fire burns down to coals, the child is asleep, breathing softly, the echo of the story still shimmering in their dreams. The old woman looks at the small candle flickering near the window and smiles, because she thinks she hears something in the silence between the crickets. A sound like water, like thread, like memory itself keeping rhythm. She whispers a final line into the night, her voice so faint that even the air must lean close to hear it. Peace does not need to be found. It only needs to be remembered. Then she closes her eyes. The candle flame steadies. The stream below continues its silver dance. The story rests, folded neatly between one breath and the next, waiting for someone, someday, to whisper it again. And now, dear listener, before the story closes, before you drift away completely into your own soft realm of dreams, let your body feel lighter, softer, quieter with each breath you take. In through the nose, slow, smooth, easy, and out again, like the sigh of a candle as it lets go of its flame. You've traveled far through the tale tonight, through corridors of stone, through the hum of alchemical glass, through the shimmer of thread in the seamstress's hands. And as you rest here, in this moment between waking and sleep, you are standing inside that same tower, feeling the hush that the centuries have kept safe. The floor beneath you is cool and solid, made of stone that has felt the touch of time, the same stone that once heard the dripping rhythm of the clepsydra. A faint breeze enters through a broken window, carrying with it the fragrance of wild lavender and the distant murmur of the stream below. You can almost see it in your mind. Water slipping between smooth stones, silver light moving gently over its surface, a motion so slow it seems eternal. The air glows faintly with the memory of candlelight, not bright, not sharp, just the ghost of gold lingering like warmth on the edges of your vision. Somewhere nearby, there's a faint sound, the whisper of a thread being drawn through fabric. Shh. Pull. Pause. Whisper. Hum. And it comes again, softer this time, as though someone is still sewing the night together. You imagine her, The seamstress, her hair catching the moonlight, her eyes calm, her movements patient. Each stitch she makes connects the day you belived to the dream you are about to enter. Her needle glints once, twice, and then disappears into the cloth, leaving only the faintest glimmer, like a star settling into the sky. She doesn't look up when you step closer. She only smiles faintly, as though she knew you were coming all along. Her voice is soft and low, a voice that could lull oceans to stillness. "Every soul," she murmurs, "is made of threads. Some bright, some dark, all woven together by time. The trick is not to rush the weaving. The trick is to let the rhythm guide you. And you realize that rhythm, slow, steady, serene, has been beneath everything tonight. The dripping clock, the rustle of fabric, your own heartbeat. It is the sound of life itself at peace. The alchemist is here too, though he no longer works. He sits near the window, his hands resting on his knees, his gaze turned toward the stars. His hair has turned white as frost, his face soft with age, and yet he seems completely content. Before him, on a small table, stands the old water clock, the clepsydra, but no water moves through it now. It stands still, the last droplet suspended mid-fall, frozen in the perfect balance between motion and rest. He glances toward you, eyes kind, and speaks in a voice so gentle it almost blends with the wind. "At first I wanted to measure time," he says, "then I wanted to master it. But the longer I listened, the more I learned. Time is already perfect. It does not rush, it does not stall. It breathes, just like you." He closes his eyes. "The moment I stopped chasing it, it finally sat beside me." Outside, the world is silver and quiet. The moon, round and patient, hangs above the valley like a guardian lantern. Below, the stream continues its journey, each ripple reflecting starlight like tiny threads unspooling endlessly into night. You can almost feel the gentle gravity of sleep beginning to pull at you now, the same pull that tugs on stars, on tides, on dreams. The seamstress begins to hum, a sound soft as wind through feathers, wordless, pure. The tone vibrates faintly through the room, wrapping around you like silk. It seems to move through your body, loosening every muscle, smoothing every thought. With every note, you grow lighter, slower, softer. The hum becomes a thread, silver and glowing, winding gently from her hands toward you. She lifts it, one hand open, and the thread touches your chest. It's warm, and yet it feels like cool moonlight at the same time. Impossible, beautiful. It slides upward, tracing your shoulders, your throat, your brow, and then it anchors lightly in the space just above your heart. "This thread," she whispers, "belongs to you now. It will remind you whenever you forget. The world moves gently, and you may rest without fear." You feel your breathing deepen again, in and out, the thread pulsing faintly with each breath. Her words echo softly in your mind, each one slower than the last, like footsteps walking away down a long corridor lined with candlelight. You may rest, you may drift, you may dream. And now the alchemist's voice joins hers, deeper, steady, timeless. "Let go," he says. "The clepsydra has stopped. The drop will never fall. Time itself is sleeping, and you are safe within its dream." The tower fades around you, not vanishing, but dissolving gently into stars. The seamstress's silver threads become constellations. The alchemist's quiet hum becomes the background of the universe, and you, dear listener, become part of that same quiet harmony. You are floating now, light as air, surrounded by silver strands that drift and sway in slow motion, weaving patterns across an endless sky. The stars blink lazily, like eyes closing in contentment. Each breath carries you deeper. You begin to forget where your body ends and the night begins. All that remains is warmth, softness, safety. And far away, or maybe very close, The seamstress finishes one final stitch. She ties it gently, presses it flat with her fingertip, and smiles. "There," she says, "the story is complete." But you know that stories like this never truly end. They only fold themselves into sleep, waiting to unfold again with the morning light. Somewhere, perhaps in another dream, the silver thread still glows faintly, still connecting hearts across centuries, still whispering the lesson both she and the alchemist learned, that the truest gold is peace, that the finest thread is patience, that the most beautiful magic is rest. And now, as the final light fades and the rhythm of your breath merges with the slow, eternal hum of the night, the voice that has guided you all this way softens one last time and says, "You are safe. You are warm. You are loved. You may sleep now." The story exhales. The stars close their eyes. And time, once measured, once chased, once captured, lies still and dreaming beside you. And now, dear listener, as the story folds itself softly closed, as the last shimmer of the seamstress's silver thread fades into moonlight, as the tower's memory melts into the hush of night, let yourself begin to rest. There is nothing more to see, nothing more to fix, nothing more to hold on to. You have arrived exactly where you are meant to be. Take a deep, gentle breath in. Let it flow in slow and quiet, as if you were drawing air from the same breeze that once passed through that ancient tower. Cool, clean, easy. Now exhale, softly, completely. Let everything you no longer need drift away with that breath. The world outside is still turning, but it is turning slowly now, like the water clock's wheel winding to a stop. The sound of the night is no longer far away. It's close, like a heartbeat resting against your ear. Maybe you can imagine the sound of the clepsydra again. One last perfect drop of water, trembling at the edge of falling, never rushing, never forced, just suspended in peace. That drop is you, perfectly balanced between wakefulness and sleep, held, safe, serene. The alchemist and the seamstress are no longer figures in your mind. They have become sensations. Warmth at your chest, softness at your temples, the steady hum of comfort that fills the quiet space between breaths. They are archetypes of stillness, symbols of balance, whispering from within your own calm center. You can imagine yourself lying near the stream below their hill, the grass cool beneath you, the sky vast and dark and filled with slow-turning stars. Each star seems to sway slightly, as though rocking you deeper into rest. The stream murmurs nearby, its rhythm old and endless. The sound of water has no beginning and no end. It simply exists, like time in its gentlest form. You might feel the earth beneath you now, solid, reliable, kind, supporting you completely, asking for nothing in return. The ground itself is cradling you, holding you steady while the rest of the world dissolves into silver mist. Your breathing continues, smooth and natural. Every inhale draws in peace. Every exhale releases the last fragments of thought. You are sinking deeper into your body now. Your feet loosening first, then your legs, your hips, your shoulders, each muscle softening like thread unwinding. Let your arms rest heavy at your sides. Let your jaw unclench. Let your eyelids flutter once, then close. Even if your eyes are already closed, imagine them closing again, deeper this time, sealing the world away like pages of a book being shut. Inside your closed eyes, light still moves, faint ripples of silver and blue, the same colors that danced in the seamstress's workshop, the same hues reflected on the surface of her thread. You can see them now, floating in your mind's quiet space, swirling softly, weightlessly. They have no edges, no shape, only motion. Slow, rhythmic, hypnotic. You realize that these colors are your breath made visible. They ebb and flow in perfect time with your inhale, your exhale. They are calm itself. The seamstress' voice returns, not as words, but as presence, a hum that feels like a memory of safety. She does not speak in language, she speaks in feeling, and that feeling says, "Everything is okay. Everything has always been okay." The alchemist's voice joins hers, a low tone, like wind through hollow bronze. He does not teach anymore. He simply hums, a counterpoint to her melody. Together they create a sound that isn't quite a song. It's a vibration, a resonance, the frequency of calm itself. It passes through your skin and into your bones, washing away any remaining tension, any residue of thought. The stars above you pulse in rhythm with it. Your heartbeat matches it. Even your dreams, waiting at the edge of consciousness, begin to move with it. You're not trying to sleep now. You're not even falling asleep. You're being carried there, slowly, easily, by something ancient and kind. Sleep is the seamstress's silver thread, winding itself gently around you. Sleep is the alchemist's water clock, dripping softly inside your chest. Sleep is the sound between sounds, the hush that holds the whole world steady. And in this moment, in this space, you are safe. Safe in body, in heart, in mind. You are surrounded by softness, in air, in thought, in time itself. Nothing is required of you. There is no next step. There is only the slow, steady motion of the night embracing you. Perhaps you can imagine now that each breath you take becomes a light, a small glowing sphere that drifts from your lips into the dark, floating upward until it becomes a new star. Each exhale adds another one and another, until the entire sky above you is bright with your own gentle breaths. You are creating constellations of calm. You are breathing peace into being. And when you stop counting them, when the stars blend together into one smooth, glowing field of light, you realize you have reached the edge of dreaming. The seamstress lifts her final thread and sews one last stitch across the horizon, closing the seam between night and sleep. Her needle flashes once, like a comet, and then disappears. The sound fades, the light softens, and the silence that follows is the purest sound you've ever known. Stay here as long as you wish. Float in this space between breath and thought. You do not need to let go. You already have. The story has done its work. The world is quiet now. The air is warm and infinite. And time, the alchemist's faithful friend, rests beside you, dreaming with you, keeping perfect watch until the first light of dawn. If you listen closely, very closely, you may still hear them. Two faint voices, one high, one low, weaving through your sleep. Rest well, dreamer. Your heart is the clepsydra now. Your soul is the silver thread. And the night is your cradle. So breathe, and drift, and sleep. The story is over. The peace remains. The night hums softly, endless and kind. And you, yes, you, are part of it now. Now, let yourself settle even deeper, dear listener. Deeper than the pillow, deeper than the blanket, deeper than the sound of the night itself. You are not falling anymore. You are floating. Held in a space where gravity has forgotten your name, where the air is soft enough to cradle every thought that drifts loose from your mind. Breathe in slowly, deeply, and let the breath fill every quiet corner inside you. It moves like water through hidden channels, cool, gentle, alive, polishing the inner edges of your being until they shine. And, as you exhale, imagine that everything heavy in you, everything tired, worried, or restless, flows out in a single stream of silver mist, disappearing into the calm air around you. The world feels far away now, not lost, just softened, like a painting seen through candlelight. The tower still stands in the landscape of your imagination, its stone walls glowing faintly beneath a sleeping moon, but you no longer need to climb its steps. You have reached its highest chamber, where time and dream melt together. You can feel the hum of the old water clock echoing inside your chest, not ticking, not dripping, just being, just steady, just kind. The seamstress is still there, somewhere in the distance of your mind, her silver threads shimmering like strands of starlight. She is no longer sewing garments or mending cloth. She is stitching the horizon itself, weaving one side of night to the other so that no thought can fall through. Every movement she makes sends a faint vibration through the air, a ripple that travels through the space around you and settles into your breath. Her rhythm becomes your rhythm. Her stillness becomes your stillness. In this stillness, even the air feels slow. It brushes softly against your skin, like the touch of a feather drifting through moonlight. The temperature is perfect, not warm, not cool, the delicate balance of comfort that exists only in dreams. The night outside the tower stretches endless and silver, and the stars seem closer now, as if they have leaned down to listen to your breath. Each inhale feels longer than the last, deeper than the last, easier than the last. Each exhale feels like a surrender, a letting go of everything that does not serve rest. You are not thinking about sleep anymore. Sleep is already happening to you, the way dusk becomes night, quietly, naturally, beautifully. You might imagine that you are lying on a great sheet of velvet sky, and that the seamstress has spread her fabric beneath you, smooth and wide, stretching beyond sight. You can feel the faint pulse of the stars beneath the fabric, slow, steady, like a heartbeat shared by the universe itself. And every time you breathe, the stars answer, pulsing in time, shining just a little brighter, whispering, "You are safe, you are soft, you are home." The alchemist's voice hums again, faint, distant, low like the rumble of the sea at midnight. He says nothing at first, only hums, letting the sound circle around you like a spell that has no beginning and no end. Then, in the space between hums, you hear words that feel as if they have always been there, hidden beneath your own heartbeat. The drop of water never fell. It became still enough to see its own reflection, and in that reflection, it found eternity. And in that moment you understand, not with thought, but with feeling, that rest is not something to be earned, chased, or deserved. Rest is what happens when you remember that you are already whole. Rest is the universe folding its arms around you. Rest is the seamstress's needle closing the final stitch, the alchemist's drop pausing forever in peace. Now, breathe again, slow and deep, and imagine that every breath draws you one layer deeper into softness. The world outside fades like an old song, its edges blurring into the hum of your own pulse. Your arms feel heavy, but in a pleasant way, the heaviness of complete surrender. Your legs sink into the sheets, muscles loose, every joint melting. Your spine straightens itself without effort. Your face smooths, your jaw unclenches, your eyes float beneath closed lids like clouds over still water. In the far distance, perhaps you can hear the sound of the stream again, that same stream that once flowed past the alchemist A.S. Hill, carrying the reflections of candles like drifting stars. The water moves slowly, lazily, with a sound that seems to say, "Everything flows, everything returns, everything rests." You are lying beside that stream now. The grass is soft beneath your body, cool and fragrant. The night air is rich with the scent of rosemary and dew. You can feel the rhythm of the earth beneath you, slow, patient, alive. Even the stars above seem to sway with your breath, rocking you gently, endlessly. And in this dreamlike meadow, the seamstress's silver thread appears once more. It floats above you, glimmering softly, winding in circles that spiral outward into infinity. You realize it's not just a thread. It's time itself, but slower, kinder. It loops around you, not to bind, but to protect, to hold. Every loop feels like an embrace. Every shimmer feels like a promise that nothing can harm you here. Your heartbeat slows to match the rhythm of the universe. Even your thoughts begin to stretch and dissolve, turning from words into colors, from colors into warmth, from warmth into stillness. There is no story left to tell now, only sensation, only rest. The tower fades completely. The seamstress's song becomes the wind. The alchemist's hum becomes the sound of your own steady breathing, and you, dear dreamer, become the night itself. Endless, silent, peaceful. If there is anything left to imagine, it is this: a thread of light traveling through the darkness, moving without haste, carrying your name softly in its glow. It drifts upward, through sky and starlight, through the quiet heart of the cosmos, and as it travels, it weaves you into the fabric of the world. You are part of the great pattern now, the design that holds dawn and dusk, motion and stillness, time and dream, all together in perfect harmony. So now, let yourself disappear into that pattern. Let go of even the idea of letting go. There is no effort left to make. There is only this quiet, silver peace. The stars blink slower now. The air grows even stiller. The sound of the stream fades into a hum too deep to name. Your breath continues, automatic, easy, serene. And somewhere far away, in the hush between seconds, the alchemist and the seamstress close their eyes and smile. Their work is done. The world is mended. Time is resting. And you, beloved dreamer, are home. Sleep now. Long, deep, endless sleep. Let the story keep watch for you. Let the silver thread protect you. Let the silence sing you into morning. Because tonight, and every night after, you are part of the gentlest alchemy there has ever been, the turning of thought into peace and the transformation of wakefulness into dream. And now, as the night deepens into its quietest hour, you feel the world around you begin to exhale, as though every stone, every leaf, every slumbering soul has waited for this precise moment to let go, to soften, to dissolve into calm. The air itself becomes a velvet hush, the kind of silence that doesn't feel empty, but full. Full of unspoken dreams, full of distant memories of warmth, full of the quiet heartbeat of time itself slowing down. You are still in the alchemist's chamber, but the edges of the room are no longer defined by walls or shelves or shadow. They be blurred into a soft mist that smells faintly of parchment and rain, and each breath you take feels like drawing moonlight into your lungs. The water clock no longer drips. Its final drop hangs suspended in air, glimmering like a star caught between moments. And in that stillness, even gravity seems to rest its weary head. The alchemist has set aside his tools, his ink-stained notes, his vials of powdered gold and silver. His hands, that once trembled with the restlessness of discovery, now lie still, open, gentle. Palms turned upward as if to cradle the invisible. Beside him, the seamstress stands in the pale blue glow of dawn, her fingers tracing the threads of air where once she stitched the seams of night. Those threads shimmer faintly, flowing outward, weaving the world together. Soft strands of moonlight and breath and memory, gliding from her fingertips into eternity. She turns toward you, her eyes the color of candlelight reflected on silver, and when she speaks, her voice is softer than the wings of a moth brushing against silk. She says, "It is finished." The alchemist nods, his eyes half closed, his voice a whisper that seems to come from everywhere at once. "Time rests," he says, "and in its resting, all things are made whole." Then the chamber seems to dissolve around you, like frost melting under the sun. The glass vials become stars, the oak table becomes a stretch of sky, the dripping clepsydra becomes the slow rhythm of your own calm heart. You are lying now on a field of woven silver grass, cool and soft beneath you. Each blade sways with your breathing. Above you, the night stretches vast and tender, a canopy sewn by the seamstress herself, embroidered with quiet stars that blink like thoughts halfway between waking and dreaming. The breeze moves across your skin, gentle and constant, carrying the scent of lavender and parchment and the faintest trace of wood smoke from some unseen hearth. Every movement of the air feels like a hand smoothing away the creases of your day. You hear a faint music in the distance, the slow, liquid rhythm of a lute being tuned, the hum of a harp-string resonating in air that no longer cares for hours or minutes. It is a song not meant to be remembered, but felt. A melody made of patience, forgiveness, and the soft heartbeat of sleep approaching. The seamstress begins to hum along with it, a tune that winds itself around your thoughts, silken and slow, until even your thoughts begin to hum too. The sound fills the spaces between moments. It becomes the space itself. Her voice rises like mist and then fades into stillness. And when it fades, it leaves behind something even more soothing, silence that glows. The alchemist kneels, drawing a circle in the soft earth beside you, and from his pocket he pours the last grains of silver dust he has kept. The dust swirls in the moonlight and forms a gentle spiral that seems to pull the entire world inward. Not down, not away, but inward, into its calm, luminous center. He whispers to you, not in words, but in meaning. And the meaning says, "You have done enough. You have been enough. Now, rest." You feel your body answer before your mind can. The weight in your chest loosens. The last small echoes of worry turn transparent, fade, and drift upward like bubbles in clear water. Every muscle softens into warmth. Every thought stretches out, sighs, and goes to sleep. Time slows further still. The stars pause in their courses. Even the sound of your own breath becomes the only rhythm left in the universe. Steady, slow, and endlessly kind. In this moment, there is no before and no after. Only this, the silver glow, the cool air, the hum of peace so gentle it feels alive. The seamstress closes her eyes. Her silver threads unravel into light. Each thread floats away, carrying a fragment of your day, a worry, a noise, a name, and releasing it, dissolving it, returning it to quiet. The alchemist's water clock vanishes entirely, for there is nothing left to measure. The drop that hung suspended becomes a small moon rising in the distance, its light soft enough to dream upon. The world exhales once more, long, low, and serene. And when it does, it carries you with it, deeper, deeper, until the boundaries of your body are gone. Now you are simply warmth and stillness. You are the calm heartbeat of the night itself. You are the silver thread, the shining dust, the slow drip of eternity melting into rest. If there are dreams waiting, they will find you here, not as visitors, but as friends. They will drift in like quiet rivers, painting colors that don't yet exist, whispering stories that only the sleeping soul can understand. And when they do, you will smile in your sleep, because you will remember, not with words but with feeling, that the alchemist and the seamstress were never outside of you. They were your patience, your gentleness, your rhythm, your peace. Now everything grows softer. The stars dim to embers. The embers become candlelight. The candlelight fades into warmth behind your closed eyes. The world folds itself around you like a blanket woven from breath and moonlight. Your breathing slows. Your heartbeat settles. And the last sound you hear before the dream begins is the faint, remembered echo of a drop falling. One final drip into infinity. Sleep now. Rest. The silver thread has done its work. The seamstress smiles in the starlight, and the alchemist closes his book. The story is complete. The night is whole. You are safe. You are loved. You are home.